Hello, I'm James from Borussia Dortmund English, and this is the Echte Liebe podcast. We may as well get straight into it. We are one game away from being German champions once again. It's going down to the last day as expected. We have a 2-point cushion, but a win, and only a win, will secure us the Meisterschale no matter what happens elsewhere. We certainly couldn't be in a better position, especially with our final Bundesliga match being at the fortress that is the Westfalenstadion. There are a few things I want to cover today. Of course, I'll be going over the game at Augsburg and how we managed to finally break our away day curse. I'll also be looking at one man in particular, the one player that no matter how you look at it has completely transformed our season, and then I want to address something. It's been bothering me for a while, and I have to admit, I have finally bit. The WWK Arena hasn't been the most joyous of venues for us in recent years. We always seem to have trouble with Augsburg. But then again, that can be said for any team from Bavaria when you're a Dortmund fan. On our 3 previous visits, we've come out on top of an 8-goal thriller, we've then been on the end of a 2-0 loss, and most recently a 1-1 draw. Earlier this season, we were twice pegged back in the first half, before eventually going on to win 4-3 at the Westfalenstadion. With our away form this season being average at best, and yes, that's me being very generous, it was clear that this had a potential disaster written all over it. After witnessing the capitulation by Bayern on home soil the previous day, we knew that we had another golden opportunity to put destiny into our own hands. There's been many times this season where we've had the opportunity to do just that, and we failed to capitalise. It's caused frustration. At times it's even created anger with certain sections of our supporters. With Jude Bellingham being ruled out just days before with a knee issue, I don't think I'd be speaking just for myself when I say it made me apprehensive. The 2 previous match days had prepared us for this scenario in that it was Bayern playing first before we had our chance to respond. Understandably, that causes pressure in its own right, but it was something that we'd passed with flying colours against both Wolfsburg and Gladbach. With all of those factors coming into play, with everything that we've learnt about this group of players this season, we had to ask ourselves, which BVB would we see turn up? The game started in similar fashion to many of our other away performances that preceded this one. We just aren't as dominant as we are when we're in front of our own fans. Although the Dortmund fans that were in the arena 2 hours before kickoff sure made it feel as close as possible to a home game as they could. It was even early on. Chances for Haller and Julian Brandt produced fine saves from Kubek as we hit the half-hour mark. Then came a huge moment, one that ultimately changed the game, but with our experience at Stuttgart, we didn't know if it would be for better or for worse. It was Rafa Guerreiro, the man that moved into midfield for the aforementioned injured Jude Bellingham, who played a great ball down the inside left for Donyell Malen to run onto. He got the better of Felix Udokai, who could only stop him by dragging him down. A straight red was shown, a decisive moment and a huge decision, and most definitely the correct one. With 7 minutes to go until half time, I was hoping that we would find a way through to settle the nerves, but it wasn't to be. For the whole of half time, all I could think about was the Stuttgart game and the similarities. Playing a team struggling down at the bottom who were reduced to 10 men, almost down to the exact minute in both games. I posted on the Facebook page that this was uncanny, but in the next 45 minutes we had the opportunity to banish all of those demons that have gone before us this season. From that moment on, Augsburg were just going to sit and try and hit us on the break at every opportunity they had. We'd had 17 attempts in the first half alone, and nothing to show for it. But that moment finally came in the 58th minute, and it couldn't have fallen to a better player who symbolises everything that this season has been. Donyell Malen picked up the ball on the right as he so often does, but instead of driving down to the byline, he put in a low, early cross, which seemed to cause confusion. It was initially cut out by the defender, but the momentum carried them towards the goal, whereas Sebastian Haller read it beautifully. He turned and with one touch set up his strike into the far corner. At last, the breakthrough. But this is Borussia Dortmund, and this wasn't over yet. They made us nervous, and they kept us waiting. Edin made changes as he knew we needed more, and one of those changes was pivotal in the second goal. Again, it was Malin picking up the ball, but this time more centrally. He fed Marco Reus, who like many before him was superbly denied by the Augsburg keeper, but this time to no avail, as again Sebastian Haller was quickest to react and took away the second goal in the 84th minute. I wouldn't say we were cruising, but that was needed. It was very needed. And in the 93rd minute, it was finally put to bed. Nico Schlotterbeck, another of Edin's substitutes, won the ball midway in the Augsburg half before sliding a perfectly weighted ball through to Julian Brandt, who finished into the far corner. 3 goals, a clean sheet, 2 points clear of Bayern with 1 match day to go. And now it was time to celebrate. None of us expected this as we went into the World Cup break after match day 15. We were 9 points behind Bayern and sat in 6th place. We'd lost 6 of our first 15 games. The only real positive was that our annual thrashing by Bayern was stopped by a last gasp equaliser from Anthony Modeste. And what an important moment in this season that may well have turned out to be. Since the return of the World Cup, everything changed. Not just a little, but drastically. From that point on, we've gone on to win 14 Bundesliga games, drawing 3, and with our only loss coming away at the hands of Bayern. There is only one major component that was different in the second half of the season compared to the first, and that is the availability of Sebastian Haller. In July 2022, Haller was diagnosed with testicular cancer. It was a crushing moment for him and his family, news that I personally could never imagine being given. He fought it head on. Every time we received an update or saw a photo from the hospital, he had the biggest smile on his face. After just 6 months, he returned and made his official debut against, you guessed it, Augsburg, as a second half substitute. Fast forward to the 21st of May, and again, after appearing against Augsburg, Haller scored his 8th and 9th goals of the season, making him our joint top scorer in the Bundesliga. He is what Edin wanted for the style of football he envisioned this team playing. A traditional number 9 who links the play, battles for everything and makes everyone around him better. Sebastian Haller, you have single-handedly brought this team together. You've made a system and a style of play work that couldn't without you. But most importantly, you won the biggest battle anyone can face in life. You are an inspiration, and I know that I speak on behalf of all Borussen when I say that we are privileged to have you wearing the Schwarz-Gelben. I'm just going to finish up now with the final topic that I wanted to talk about, and that is with again addressing the rumblings from certain sections of our supporters saying that we don't deserve to win the Bundesliga. Even after Sunday, I've seen comments saying that we are lucky and that we wouldn't be where we are without Bayern's failures, and again that Edin still doesn't measure up to previous managers due to our points tally being lower than his predecessors. I know I shouldn't, but I finally bit. On the face of it, some of your arguments even look a little well reasoned, even though the timing of them is mind-boggling, seeing as though this team is about to deliver what you've been waiting for the last 11 years. It's true, Bayern didn't replace Lewandowski. They certainly thought they had in bringing in Mane, but it hasn't worked out, so yes, you can argue that. You could argue that they've lost games and dropped points that they haven't over the last 10 seasons. Again, I grant you that. You can say that time and time again, we've given Bayern the upper hand by not taking golden opportunities when they presented themselves to us. Again, you'd be correct. There's many arguments to be made against any one of those points. There's the what ifs and the wondering how things would have worked out if A, B and C would have happened. But with missing Haller for the first half of the season, comparing to the 17 games and 45 points with him, we could say that if he'd been available, then on that basis, we would have potentially finished with between 85 and 90 points, which would have been enough to have won us the Bundesliga in 8 out of 10 of the last seasons. Edin has come in and in his first season created a system that was for the first 15 games cruelly taken away from him. He's taken accountability. He's galvanised these players and these fans, and like in any other walk in life, he's only been able to beat what's been put in front of him. He is one game away from delivering what all of those before him have failed to do. If after matchday 34 we are sat atop of the Bundesliga and are again champions of Germany, I challenge any real fan to come onto the pages, or anywhere in fact, and try telling any of us that we don't deserve to be champions. We still have that one game to go, I'll admit, and nothing is won yet. But this season, more than most since the Klopp era, has been one where I felt that we finally have our Borussia Dortmund back. If you have managed to get this far in the show, then I'd like to say a huge thank you. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button, and if you want to support the show, you can become a Borussia Dortmund English member via the Patreon page. And this really does make a huge difference, so again, thank you. I'll put all of the links below, but for now, we have the chance to become German champions for the first time in 11 years. I'll see you all on the pages over the weekend. Take care everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Echte Liebe podcast.